Hello, welcome to Learn, Do, Become Radio, episode 185. I'm April Perry, and if you're new, here at Learn, Do, Become, we help people who are drowning in the details of life to create simple systems so they can do what matters most. Today, we're talking about why an optimized system will always outperform a list. And stay on until the end. I'm going to share some amazing testimonials from our community members and tell you about 2 upcoming live classes for our steppers and our arisers. Can't wait to dive in. All right, so I know it sounds kind of strange, but I watch people make lists for a living. And of course, that's only part of my job, but a big part of my job is to notice how and why people make lists the way they do, and then help them to transition those lists into a system. Now, we call that system our STEP Command Central, and my personal goal is to have one on every desk because I know it will change the world. And because I really want you to experience the mental clarity and peace and productivity that comes when your Command Central is in place, I'm going to walk through the normal way people make lists today and then compare that with the benefits of creating a seamless system. Now, I want to pause here for a moment. I know that you are a real person on the other end of this, and you're probably listening to this podcast either while you're, cleaning up the house or driving somewhere, maybe on a walk, maybe just taking a break. If you are feeling weighed down, if your brain is spinning, if you feel like I just move piles of things around and I don't get a lot done and I'm frustrated and my life isn't turning out the way I want it to and it shouldn't be this hard, I just want you to know we're here to support you in that. And so welcome. And today we're going to dive into some really specific ways that the Command Central is going to change your life. And on the show notes page, I'll have a picture of what the Command Central looks like. And we have links to where you can learn more, take a free training, participate more fully in our community here at Learn to Become, whether it's paid or free resources. I just want you to know that there's hope for you. And you don't need to feel weighed down and you don't need to feel overwhelmed by stuff. In fact, let's get all of that out of your head, help you feel calm. And then you can focus your best energy on the people, relationships, solving these bigger problems and being able to create that life where you wake up excited and you go to bed content. That's what I want for you. All right, so today I'm going to talk about 3 reasons that I've identified, why an optimized system will always outperform a list. So reason number 1 is because a list keeps growing and growing, and there's never an end. Now, you've probably seen these kinds of lists, or maybe you have one right now. Maybe it is a notepad or a digital note, or it might be a digital task manager that has lists and lists and lists that are mostly overdue or out of date, or so nebulous that no one ever looks at them. If I popped into, let's say I picked 25 random digital task managers that are inside just an average business or an average home, I guarantee you I would just see chaos. That's just the norm. Most people just work from chaos. And that's how I personally used to work, is I would just make a really long list, but then something new would come into my life, and so I just add it to the list. And then things would get busy, and I'd have to change my priorities, and then I didn't want to take things off the list because they were still important, even though I couldn't do them right then. And so I ended up with this really, really long list that all had important things on it. Everything meant something to me, but I would look at it during the day, and I just could never get it done. And that's a really hard place to be, especially if everyone around you is in the same place and they tell you that's normal. It is normal, but it's not optimal and it's not how you have to live. So I want to talk about the contrast. If you have an optimized system or a STEP Command Central, it keeps the daily focus very simple, and anything out of date or anything that does decrease in priority, for one reason or another, is moved to the appropriate location. Now, some of those locations might be a someday list, an incubation list, a calendar trigger for the future. It could be a task that's delegated to someone else, or it could be added to a next in line project list, etc. And if all of these are new, concepts to you, we have a directory to the podcast where you can learn more, or come in our STEP program. We'll teach you the whole system. But essentially, these are the parts of the Command Central that make it all work. I think of it like a car. You have to have all the parts of the car in order to drive. If you're missing the steering wheel or the tires or the engine or the gas tank or the electric charger or whatever it is, you won't be able to actually make the car move. You need all the parts. I think of it the exact same way with a STEP Command Central. If you want to get organized, you need to have all the parts, and I'll have a little picture there for you on the show notes page, because that's what makes the difference. If you just have a list, it's kind of like just having, a skateboard, which is fine. It can move you a little bit, but it's never going to give you the power, the distance, the comfort that a car will give you. Okay? All right. So if you do then move things to that appropriate location in your STEP Command Central because you have it all, that movement or adjustment happens during the weekly review. This is where you have an appointment with yourself once a week. You keep it very simple, so it requires zero willpower, and you simply maintain it. You honestly look at what's on your plate, and you deprioritize anything that doesn't deserve your attention that week. We just have been talking about this in our 4 weeks to finish group that we did, which was amazing. We love them. And as we talked about the weekly review and ninja tips for the weekly review and how to make it really work, one of the things that I've noticed is that we often try to do all of our work during the weekly review, or we like to overcomplicate our lists because we feel like, well, if I have a big list, I'll probably get a lot done. That is one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves, because when you do have a really, really big list, typically you get very little done because you're overwhelmed and you procrastinate and you come up with some really good reason to put your attention somewhere else, or you get sick, or you just feel stressed a lot, and then you have to put your energy into behavior that's not going to get you anywhere. So that's why I'm so passionate about that. All right, so that was number one. The list keeps growing and growing, and there's never an end, while in contrast, the system keeps the daily focus simple, but helps to move all the extra stuff into the other parts of the Command Central, so there actually is an end. I do get to the end of my list every day. It feels so good. That's why I can go to sleep feeling so calm, is because I don't have anything outstanding. I do have things that I will do tomorrow, and I have renegotiated and adjusted, but I don't feel that stress. All right, number two, a list, even if it is simplified so it only includes what you're doing that day, leaves a lot in your psychic RAM. Okay, psychic RAM is a term often used by David Allen, who is the best-selling author of Getting Things Done. Literally one of the most influential books I've ever read. And in case you're not familiar with RAM, it stands for Random Access Memory. Now, that's essentially a computer's short-term memory. And unlike a hard drive, it resets whenever the system is rebooted. Okay, that's what I got from the Intel website. Now, from what I understand, RAM is particularly helpful in things like computer gaming, so the system runs faster. So psychic RAM, from the way I understand it, refers to the tasks, reminders, etc. that are floating around in your head. For example, if right now I asked you to memorize a 10-digit code and then give it back to me 5 minutes later, that would be in your psychic RAM. It's like when you cram for a test and you don't really know what you're talking about, but you have enough in your head you can temporarily make it seem like you do. Everyone's like, I've never done that. If you don't have a system in place and you only want to work from a very short list for the day, this is something I hear very common from leaders and authors and people online, is something like, here are my 3 things for the day. I'm only doing these 3 things for the day. Now that's fine, and that gives you a way to focus, and that's better than just going into the day overwhelmed and doing nothing. So I think that's great. But what happens to all those other tasks, projects, ideas, goals, etc., that you're not working on? Because if they're not written down, they're most likely sitting in your head. I even watched a YouTube video the other day from an online leader who was saying, and we all have different opinions, so I'm not saying it was wrong or right, But this specific online leader was saying, just pick your 3 priorities for the day and then everything else, just throw it away. Now, that could work for some people. For me personally, that doesn't work because typically if I had it written down, I was there for a reason. It's something I either told someone else I would do, or it's something important for my family that doesn't have to happen today, but I want it to happen soon, or it's an idea that really pertains to my values. And although it sounds like powerful and, oh, I'm very committed to my goals, let me just throw everything else away. Whenever I hear someone say, burn your to-do list, just, scrap it, it'll all come back to you later. I just know in the past, whenever I've tried to do that, I've lost out on some things that really did matter to me and it just didn't feel good. So that's my personal opinion. Obviously, you do what feels right for you. Okay, but here's what I believe. If you have a Step Command Central, guess what? You not only know what you are doing that day, you could say, here's my 3 priorities, that's fine, but you know what you're not doing that day, and it's all in your system, and it will come back to you when you need it. So for example, when I talk about a tiered project list, I know what's on my current projects, but I also have a in progress or waiting, a next in line, a someday. And then I even keep an extra Evernote of someday way later projects. And those, I might not get any of them done, but I have them written down where if I ever do have space in my life where I say, hey, what was it I wanted to work on? I can go explore. Like, for example, I have this dream called Nana April's Toy Company. I'm so excited about it. And I'll share this briefly because this is what's so fun. So I actually started inventing a little toy company on paper maybe 15, 20 years ago. And I have all these fun ideas I'm super excited about. But it just never worked out to build a toy company because I didn't have a lot of startup capital. And I started teaching the Step Command Central and it just took off. And Eric joined me in it and Learn to Become has grown by leaps and bounds. And so a toy company wasn't ever something I wanted to do, to take its place. But I've been brainstorming. Now we have our first grandchild that's due in June. Aaliyah and Josh are having a little boy. So excited. She sends us little pictures of the ultrasound. I can't wait. And so the other day I was thinking, you know what? I could start Nana April's Toy Company and it could just be toys I have created or have designed and built just for my grandkids. It doesn't have to be something I sell to anyone else, but I could if I want. I could set it up. And now with the ease of an Etsy store or how easily you can order things online or hire people to make things. It's a lot easier than it was 20 years ago. So Nana April's Toy Company might happen. Right now, that's on a someday list. I don't have to do it right now, but I can brainstorm and add to it. And then I've started designing what the toys are going to be. So cute. So that's what I'm talking about is you can have these little fun things that you're going to do, or it could be books you want to read or movies you want to watch or vacations you want to take, or, it can be all kinds of things that you add to those someday lists. Now, I know I'm not doing them right now, but I know they're safe. That's the difference. If you say, well, just throw everything else away, well, you know what? Maybe it'll come back to you, or maybe you'll lose all those details that you really spent time on that were exciting to you. So I think it's really honors your creativity and your finite energy and what you need to focus on when you can build the whole Command Central and everything's safe. So that little review of number 2, a list, even if it's simplified, so it only includes what you're doing that day, leaves a lot in your psychic RAM. Where a Step Command Central leaves nothing in your psychic RAM because you have a simple focus for the day and then you have everything else safely in your system and you have routines to bring it back to you or, calendar reminders that'll bring it back to you. So your brain just calms down and that's fantastic. I didn't know how it could feel. I didn't even know it was possible. And then when I felt it, then I've been talking about it for 15 years and telling everyone about it because it's a game changer. Number 3. I think this is the most fun one. I had the most fun writing this. Okay. A list typically won't encompass all the stuff that's sitting on your flat surfaces. Now, we talk about flat surface disease a lot here at Learn, Do, Become. It is incredibly normal, and essentially it means that you place items in plain sight on every flat surface as reminders to do tasks. So I have a whole series of examples here. That light bulb is there to remind you to buy light bulbs. That pile of gardening gloves is there to remind you to call your neighbor to see when she's doing that project that you said you'd help out with. That invitation on the fridge is there so you'll buy a present and mail it next week since you can't attend the wedding. The pamphlet is there to remind you to take a vacation. That hydration chart your friend gave you is there to remind you to drink water. The book is there to remind you to read so you can be a better leader at work. Does this all make sense? Are you just looking around at your flat surfaces right now and you're thinking, April, are you in my house? So when you have a system, you don't need the actual items to be your reminders. This is often a light bulb moment for so many people. So speaking of that light bulb, you can toss the light bulb and use the 2-minute rule to either place an order online or just add buy light bulbs to your errands list. Those gardening gloves can go back into the garage or wherever you keep them, and you can send a quick text to your neighbor using the 2-minute rule, or you can add to your next actions list to give your neighbor a call. That would go in the phone call section. You can put the wedding invitation in your tickler file. The tickler file holds monthly resources that are linked to your calendar. And you could add a calendar trigger or reminder to tell you when to make that gift purchasing a priority. And you could, of course, do like the 2-minute Venmo. I do that now for weddings. Or you could make it a next action to shop for, or, write inside of a card you already have. Or you could make it then an errand to mail the package, whatever you're doing for that gift. That would just happen through your calendar and your next actions list. The pamphlet can go into Someday or into your family cubby for the current project support materials. And you could add plan vacation to your to discuss section of your next actions list. For the hydration chart, you could post it if you want it, so if you want to be able to see it, or you could just add your daily reminder to drink water to your routines list, which you'll review once a week. And maybe you'll even decide to get a new water bottle or something that will make hydration easier. I got this beautiful tall water bottle. I think it's 32 ounces. I just keep it with me. And when I did this digestion test, my doctor said, "You are one of the most hydrated people I have ever tested." I said, because of my water bottle, because I just have it with me and it's so fun to drink out of. So anyway, that's a routine. I drink water. I make it easy to drink water. And then that book that you had laying around, right, that can go on a to-read section of your next actions list. I add a little section of things I'm either reading or listening to, so I have my education right there on my priority list. Or you can just set the book where you will most likely read it, and you can add a reading routine to your daily or weekly routines list. Now, I honestly could go on and on and on, but the main point I want to make is that it is so beneficial to build your STEP Command Central. If you like making lists, that's great. We'll show you how to make them more optimally. I just really, really encourage you to learn how to build your system and then use it. Because even though it feels a bit like learning a new language, it's going to change your life. And you're going to feel calm and in control of at least some things. We can't control everything. And you're going to feel like someone just gave you the shortcut to getting things done. That's how I want you to feel like, man, why did no one tell me that it could be this easy? That's empowering. That's exciting. And then you can tell everybody. It's not a secret. Help everyone. Learn how to build a Command Central. Teach them what you're learning. Make it together. Take turns babysitting each other's kids, or meet once a week to build together, or be accountability partners. You can do this and everyone can do it. You can literally use file folders and paper, or you can use free Asana or Google Drive. It's not hard. That's just where we're so excited to help you learn how to do it. Now, fun thing, this month I am doing a special class for all our STEP Mastery students. It's about personal and professional digital task and project management. I personally use Asana, A-S-A-N-A, but if you use something like Monday.com, ClickUp, Trello, Basecamp, I think those are the names of those, or any other digital task management tool, the same principles apply. Every task management tool has the ability to work as a command central, and I can show you how to do it. Because I've been messaging back and forth with some people in our STEP community and asking, hey, what do you need? What do you want to hear in the podcast? What kind of classes do you need? What can we do for you? And knowing how to manage personal and professional tasks and projects using something digital, that's just been one of the top requests. So I'm doing the class, and it's going to be Tuesday, March 21st at noon Pacific on Zoom. We're going to email all Step Mastery members about it. Make sure that you're on our email list. If you just go to learndobecome.com/inspiration, you can just get on our list, or it's on our homepage. There's a little picture of an email. You can click on that and join. The idea is that if you want to be part of the community hearing about these awesome events, we want you to be able to get on the newsletter. So come for that. And if you're not in Step Mastery, but you've been kind of thinking about it, really, it truly is one of the best groups on the internet. And the resources that we have for you in there are incredible. I can't say enough about it. I love our Step Mastery community. Any STEP program, like if you do self-study or something like that, it's great. But come in Mastery, because that's where the party's going, okay? Plus, this month inside Arise, that's our monthly membership, my personal coach / therapist, Mike Christensen, I spoke about him a couple episodes ago, is coming to walk everyone in Arise through the team CBT model. That's the cognitive behavioral therapy model. I have felt such a relief in doing work with Mike, and he's our first Arise guest we've ever had. So I said, please come on, and can you just show everyone how to do this? So he's going to take us through a mood log, help us understand our self-defeating beliefs. I know you'll get a ton out of it. So if you want to join us live, it's Thursday, March 16th at 10 a.m. Pacific. If you're listening to this podcast later, come into Arise. Most likely we'll still have access for you, at least to some of the archives, or you'll be able to get access to that. So you can access it whenever you're available. But if you can come live, it's going to be amazing. I'll be doing Q&A and all that. But whether you're part of STEP or part of our Arise membership, or you're just following along with the free resources at Learn to Become, we're so grateful for you, and we hope you'll continue to breathe deeply and get more and more organized and calm as you go, and share it with your friends. And then before I close up, I'm just going to share 3 testimonials. We've been starting to collect them more and get more organized with the testimonial sharing, because they're so good, and this energy has all been internal for way too long. We just need to share it with you. So first one is from Carrie, and she has a screenshot she shares of her next actions list and her digital command central. She says, okay, so I came across an ad for STEP on Facebook itself this morning while procrastinating over making coffee. Talk about living in piles. That was what got me to watch the webinar. Before I was even through it, I was signing up for the program. Already today, I've identified projects, gotten my email to 0, and have set up my digital command center. I even got a couple of things that have been sitting around for months not being done finished today. I am super excited, and I can't get over the difference it's made for me in literally less than 24 hours. I can't wait to keep going through the program and make more steps to freeing my life from its piles. So happy. Carrie just came right in and made it happen. Now, if you haven't been to our free training, that's learndobecome.com/step. It's a class called How to Finally Stop Drowning in Piles. So thank you, Carrie, for sharing that. There's another one from Julie. She shows her certificate of completion. We have a little certificate at the end of the STEP program where you can, put your name and the date you finished it, and you have your certification. So fun. And she wrote, yeah, baby, that's what I'm talking about. I successfully followed through as a 4 weeks to finished project. So she'd come in September of last year, and then she finished it in early October. And so she had included her commitment statement. And the commitment statement that she's like, I'm going to succeed. I'm going to finish the program by October 6th, 2022. And she'd written that commitment on August 31st, 2022. So she shares this commitment she'd made about, a month, 5 weeks later, she wrote, "It feels powerful to have accomplished this goal." So excited for you, Julie. That is amazing. And then one more testimonial I wanted to share. This one has a ton of pictures with it. So I'm going to post it on the show notes page, learndobecome.com/episode 185. But she shows all these photos of her command central and her beautiful bookshelves. And she says, "Without further ado, I'm happy to present my almost completed office. For the first time since moving into this home almost 4 years ago, I have finally put all my crafting supplies in one place. And I have a nice filing system, a comfortable reading nook watched over by my grandfather, so sweet, a clean and organized desk, and very little stuff on the floor. Yay! I'm also so thankful my mother is painting me a small side table next to my recliner. I can fill my room with her art." And then she thanks everyone for their comments on her before pictures. She talks about this being a big endeavor for her. And she said, that 3-box trick was also super helpful. We have a post about and a podcast, the 3-box method. I'll link to that on the show notes as well. And she said, "I probably dumped 8 boxes of just trash." So fun. And then she made this little list, and I'll include it there. She's like, for accountability, here's what's left to do. She has this little list of very doable things that she can do. And then there's photos of her organized drawers, her filing system, her beautiful bookshelves, all of her folders for the Step Command Central, beautifully put together. The art, the, craft supplies, everything just there together. And it's so beautiful and exciting. And just the energy that you can feel in this testimonial is amazing. We have people every day. I'm literally scrolling through. I have so many beautiful testimonials from people who are just putting this into action and making it happen in their lives. And there's something really powerful that happens when you have a step-by-step system and you have a community of people around you who are all following it together and getting results together. Because then if you go in and you are stuck, they're there to help you. Or if you go in and you say, "This doesn't work for me," they're not going to buy it. They're going to say, "Well, what's not working? What have you done? Where do you need help? What's your question?" And then it's kind of on you, but you have to say, "Well, here's where I'm stuck." And then they're like, "Okay, well then how about this?" And when you see that positivity and that energy and people who are saying, "I get it. Life is incredibly frustrating sometimes, and it's hard sometimes, and it's like there's stuff that goes on," and I've shared that in so many podcasts. You guys know I'm human too. But when you can say, "Well, then what am I going to do?" And you take control over what you can, and you take a deep breath, things you can't. Oh, it just feels amazing. So I hope you feel encouraged today. I am the CEO here at Learn to Become, the Chief Encouragement Officer. Eric and I don't really have titles. I just said, I want to pick my title, and I want to be the Chief Encouragement Officer. My goal is to encourage you. I want you to know that you can have hope. And I just send a huge hug and so much love. I hear from you. I watch what you're posting. I see how hard you're working. I see how you are learning how to give yourself grace and how you're taking steps that make sense. And you're forming communities that we can't wait to just jump in and be a part of because it's amazing. So thank you. I hope to see you in my Step Asana class or my project management class on the 21st of March. And on the 16th of March, I hope to see you in Arise for our call with Mike Christensen. And stay close, okay? All right. Love you so much. Have a great day. We'll see you soon at learndobecome.com.